You know, in sports, we always look at the final score, right? It seems to tell you everything you need to know. Who won, who lost, how badly. But what if the real story, the part that actually matters, isn't on the scoreboard at all? Let's dive into one game that proves just that. Okay, so check this out. 114-47. This was the final score of a college basketball game. I mean, we're talking about a 67-point demolition. On paper, this isn't just a loss. It's the kind of score that makes you think one team didn't even belong on the same court. And yeah, that's the story any headline would tell you. A simple blowout. One team was just on another level, the other was completely outmatched. End of story, right? Well, maybe not. What if I told you we could actually get inside the locker room, inside a player's head, and find out what it really felt like to be out there during that game? Because thanks to a secret journal, we can do exactly that. All right, so first things first. Let's look at the official story. This is the narrative pushed by the winners, the University of Northern Colorado, pulled right from their own game recap. I mean, listen to the language here. Dominated, rolling to a victory. It just paints this picture of complete, effortless superiority. From their side of things, this game was never even a contest. And the recap basically spells out their whole game plan. They used an aggressive full-court press to completely disrupt the other team's offense. This forced a ton of mistakes, a ton of turnovers, which they just easily converted into points on the other end. For them, it was textbook execution. Okay, now let's start to peel back the layers here and look at the numbers that really fueled this thing. The stats tell us how that domination actually happened. Wow! Okay, look at this. This right here is the whole game in one chart. Northern Colorado scored a staggering 58 points, directly off of their opponent's mistakes. Chadron State, they only managed 6. So this wasn't really about who was the better shooting team, this was a masterclass in punishing errors. So where did those 58 points even come from? It all boils down to this number, 36. Chadron State turned the ball over 36 times. That's nearly one turnover for every single minute of the game. That one stat basically explains the entire blowout. And believe me, it wasn't just the turnovers. The physical battle down low, in the paint, was just as lopsided. 72 points in the paint for Northern Colorado versus just 10 for Chadron State. That's not just winning, that's owning the most valuable real estate on the court. So far everything, the stats, the winners recap, it all tells the exact same story of just total domination. But this is where things get really interesting. What was actually going on in the minds of the players on the losing team? And believe it or not, we can actually answer that question. Because we have something pretty incredible, a post-game mental performance journal written by one of the Chadron State players just hours after that final buzzer. Just listen to the honesty here. This isn't about stats or strategy anymore. This is pure, raw emotion. The player's frustration wasn't just about losing the game. It was about feeling like her team had lost its will to fight. And this is where it all clicks together, right? The player's journal confirms that Northern Colorado's aggressive pressure was absolutely devastating. Not being able to break that press wasn't just a tactical failure. For her, it was an embarrassing and deeply frustrating experience that just shattered the team's spirit. So you have to wonder, was this just a fluke? One really, really bad night against a much better team? Or was this loss a symptom of a much deeper problem? Well, it turns out this was absolutely a pattern. Check this out. In a journal from a completely different game, a player wrote, "Our third quarters always kill us." Now, that's a feeling, right? A perception. But was it real? You bet it was. The data from a game just weeks earlier shows they got outscored 32-13 in the third, totally wiping out a halftime lead. That feeling wasn't just in her head. It was right there in the box score. And when you dig into the performance analysis from their other games, you see the exact same issues, over and over again. Struggling with ball security under pressure, a lack of defensive discipline, and maybe most importantly, these mental collapses during key moments, a tendency to just accept the loss when things got tough. And yep, here we go again in yet another game, the exact same struggle against the press. This player takes it on herself, admitting her patience was horrible, and that her own failure to execute was what frustrated her. You see, this isn't just a physical problem, it's a mental one that's following them around.
But here's what I think is the most fascinating part of this whole thing. Despite all the losses and the very clear struggles, these players have this remarkable level of self-awareness. They know exactly what's going wrong.
So let's take a look at one player, a freshman named Ella Moser. An analyst's scouting report identifies her key strength as elite three-point shooting. That's her job, that's her role on this team. Now listen to what Ella herself wrote in her own journal. She knows her reputation precedes her. She is fully aware that opponents are building their game plan specifically to stop her. For a young player to have that kind of strategic self-awareness is just incredible. And this really gets to the core truth of it all, doesn't it? Performance, in any sport, is never just about the numbers on a page. It's this incredibly complex dance between the stats, the strategy, and the psychological battle that's happening inside every single player's head.
So that final score, 114-47, sure, it tells us what happened, but the journals, they tell us why. They reveal a story that isn't just about a lopsided loss. It's about frustration, about self-awareness, and about the quiet, tough journey of trying to understand failure. And that is the story the box score can never, ever tell you.
So it makes you think, right? The next time you see a blowout score in any sport, maybe just take a second to wonder. Beyond the numbers, what's the human story of struggle, awareness, and resilience that's hidden just out of sight?